They say that in space, no one can hear you scream. Apparently, that also applies to playtesters at Modiphius, because this game is a silent cry for help wrapped in an N7 branded shroud. Welcome back to Respectfully, It's Garbage. I'm Mauritz, the collector's advocate. You might know me as the financial guinea pig, the man who spends his rent money on hype so you don't have to. Mass Effect Priority Hagalaz. A narrative game where the story is as thin as the cardstock and the progression matters about as much as the ending of Mass Effect 3. Here we have an example setup with the character sheet here of Shepard. We have the map open over here for mission 1C, our cards, dice, enemy tokens in the bag over there, and our progress at the top. This entire setup, it's not a quick one, it takes quite a while, around 10-minute setup, going through the additional rules that apply after reading the narrative. They call it a narrative experience. I call it a box of unpainted disappointment and a rulebook that feels like it was written on a napkin during a lunch break. Let's see if there's actually a game in here, or if we're just paying a Bioware tax for some mid-tier cardboard. Let's talk about the story. Modiphius claims this is a narrative-driven experience. In reality, it's a collection of disconnected sentences that make a fortune cookie look like War and Peace. The manual actually tells you that you can skip the campaign, pick a level, and just play a random battle. Overall, I would recommend that if you really want to play the game, skip the narrative, grab your campaign map, just choose a level, a random level. The book will tell you what level your characters need to be to start on the level, so you just choose a level, 2A or 1B or 3C, just choose one, hop into battle, play the battle, and that's it. That's the best the game can get, is by not going through the narrative, not doing the story, not following paths, just randomly choose a battle. If your narrative game can be played as a series of unrelated skirmishes without losing a single shred of context, you don't have a story. You have a glorified list of chores. It's the tabletop equivalent of go here, kill 3 husks, repeat until the heat death of the universe. Look at these maps. They're cluttered, muddy, and visually exhausting. They've printed the token locations directly onto the board. So when you move a token, the ghost of the icon remains, staring back at you like a reminder of where your fun used to be. Then to the map. Now, this map over here is very cluttered. We've got our miniatures for our crew and Shepard, and then we've got these tokens for the enemies. The rules state that you need to place one of these lock tokens for unlock and locked on each one of these sides, that there's a couple missing because the game doesn't include that many tokens. Now, it doesn't state that you should only place this on the locked doors. No, it states that it should be placed on both, as here. If it's open, it still needs to be placed. Gets closed later on and thus needs to be flipped over. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. If you did not want these tokens to be included on the open doors, then do not mark the open doors. It just adds more clutter to the board that's already cluttered. Let's say, as an example, you moved a bit and the enemies got killed and moved up a bit. We'll say we unlock that part, throw Rex over there, and Garrus over there. We'll remove another enemy. And let's say this civilian died. These moved. That one moved. Loot was collected. And these all did something. And that one died. These loots were collected. It is open. And that one died. Looking at that board state of you're busy with something, it's still cluttered. Because all of these symbols are printed on the board. So even if they are moved, or killed, it still clutters the board. The idea of having a book that contains all of your maps is quite nice. I like it. Everything's in the same spot, but printing the locations on everything I dislike. I would have preferred to have in the narrative book, make it useful, and show us there where the units get placed on the map. That would be a lot nicer. That way, when especially tokens like the creatures or the civilians or even the players, as you move, the board won't feel this cluttered anymore. I mean, the locks are fine. It's either open or closed, and the idea is it always needs to remain there. You know, the locks don't move. So they're fine. But the others, having everything moved, like now over there with the caches, there's only 2 caches remaining, but a quick glance and you might misjudge it as 4 still remaining. It doesn't work. It's very, very cluttered. And then there's the math. The game gives you 8 door tokens. One of the early maps requires 11. I suppose in the future Commander Shepard just runs out of hinges. It's basically a component count failure that screams, we didn't even play this once. The miniatures, standard grey resin, aren't collector's grade. I've seen better in a box of cereal grade. They went with a write-on gimmick for progression. After 2 sessions, the ink stains the board permanently. But if you accidentally brush your sleeve against it mid-game, poof! Your character's entire history is gone. Not that it matters, the gameplay has so little meat on the bone that you won't even notice the stat loss. I dislike the adding of actual elements and components like the shield tracker or health tracker on the board when you also need the markers. Choose one. Either I have components or I have markers, but I don't have both, because moving one up and down and then you start wiping your markers, the combination doesn't work. Modiphius has a habit of skinning popular IPs and wearing them like a suit to hide a hollow mechanical skeleton. This isn't a game, it's a license fee recovery vehicle. If you love Mass Effect, buy a poster. If you buy this, keep it sealed on the shelf so you can pretend it's good, because once you open it, the illusion vanishes. There it is, Priority Hagalaz. It's a game that asks for your time and your money, but gives you 8 doors for an 11-door map. It's a tabletop equivalent of a fetch quest that never ends and offers you no reward. If you absolutely must own this because the N7 logo gives you a dopamine hit, fine, buy it. Put it on the highest shelf you have and never ever break the shrink wrap. The moment you open this box, the value disappears faster than the Mako's suspension on a low gravity moon. If you enjoy watching me lose a piece of my soul to licensed mediocrity, go ahead and hit the like. Until next time, keep your wallets closed and your standards high. I'm Mauritz, and respectfully, this was garbage.